AWS CLI. Let's just take a look at how to use AWS CLI command line interface and set up the user. Okay, first we need to install AWS CLI tool for our command line, and just Google AWS CLI and then go to the website. Here it will tell you like how to install based on your operating system. You can use Linux, Mac, or Windows to just install the command line. And so the usage is just open the terminal and then type the command. Okay, so here, and but first of, if you after you installed, okay, if you type AWS, let's see, AWS EC2 describe instance. Okay, so it will take some time, and then I'm able to locate credentials. Okay, you can configure credentials by using AWS configure. Right, so what does that mean? That means that we don't have any AWS login information set up in this tool, so that's why we don't have any access to the AWS. Let's see if I do another one. Okay, S3 list, and it will wait for a while and tell us that you have to configure your AWS first. Okay, so to run this command, copy and paste and then hit enter. Okay, it will ask you to give AWS access key. Where is it? It's here. Okay, so the one that we downloaded in the IAM. Okay, copy this, put it here, and the next is a secret key. Okay, then copy this, oops, and then put it here. Okay, hit enter, and then default region name, right? US East 1. So I'm in US East 1, and this is the default one. So if you are in California, then change it to US West 1 or West 2. Okay, so it depends on where are you. If you don't know which one to choose, go back to your console. Okay, and here. Okay, so just here. Okay, so I'm in US East 1, which is Northern Virginia. If you're California, choose US West 1, and even Ohio, okay, and the US East 2. Or if you're in another country, just use this name, okay. If it's default, then hit enter. For the time latencies or performance, you won't feel big difference there, okay. So if you want to use default, use default, because the default will be very convenient. There's a lot of places by default is using US East 1. Okay, and the default output format JSON. Okay, hit enter, and we're good to go. Okay, so after this AWS configure is done, then we actually can look at this file under .aws folder, under our home folder, .aws folder, and go inside, and then just list all the files. We will see there is a credential file. Okay, we can just print this out. Okay, and you can see we have a default profile, access key, and the secret key. Okay, so here, if you manually change those, okay, it will be equivalent to this command. So if you want to, let's say, create another user, and you can just replace those two keys. Okay, so then this configuration is there by default, used by CLI, by the SDK. Okay, so like later on when we use Spring Boot to connect to AWS, this configuration, it still applies. Okay, so it still works in the Java code, in the Python code, in whatever code you want to use SDK in AWS. So you don't have to set these keys in your code. Okay, the code will automatically go ahead and find this folder, find this credential. Okay, so that's the one. And we can have multiple profile in the credentials. We can have another profile with another name and another access key. When we execute the command, we can actually give the which profile we want to use, right? So that's like we can maintain multiple user access, okay, inside of the same credentials file here. Okay, just by copy the 3 lines, change the default to whatever profile name you want, and just change those 2 keys. Okay, so then after we have this, and now we can do AWS S3 list. Okay, I don't have any bucket, so it's empty, right? Nothing is there. But let's just quickly create a new bucket, S3. We didn't talk about S3 yet, but just let's, because this is the easiest way we can create a resource. I will just call it my test bucket 2023, right? Make sure we are in the correct region. Otherwise, because this credential is in US East 1, right? So, but anyway, it doesn't matter because S3 will list all the buckets, okay? And this bucket name is already exist in the world, so let's just change it to something random. Okay, and now this bucket is there, and yeah, there's the console listed, but let's see in the command line tool, okay, AWS S3 LS, right? And you can see here we go, we have this bucket, right? Just listed here. How to use AWS, right? So this is a very interesting question, like how to use the command line tool. We have to read the document or sometimes Google online and then to see all the command, what does they do. Okay, you can see all the services are there. Just depends on which service you want to use. You want to use EC2 describe instances. Okay, and then it will return us nothing there because we don't have any instance. But this is the command line tool. Okay, we're not gonna focus on using command line tool, but instead we just configure this here so that later on when we write our Java Spring code, we don't have to put hard code those keys inside our Java or Spring Boot. Okay, and also it just demonstrates this is the way that we usually write script to automate the work in AWS as well. All right, thanks.